Good morning, everyone. This is Brad Matheny. Today is the 21st of October. It is a Monday, and we're moving into about 2 weeks before the election. So you can see I've highlighted my data and my charts moving into the election. Still expecting a bit of an upward rotation, about 3.5%, moving into a topping pattern right around this yellow circle area, moving into a fairly sharp decline right before the election, bouncing solidly right after the election. So really, I'm looking at, and you'll see it here, looking at a moderate rally phase today. Remember this week. Remember, we have counter trending on Tuesday as a gap reversal. We have counter trending on Thursday as a breakaway. Then we have a rally on Friday. Then we have top resistance, gap defender in a counter trend mode, which means we should be expecting a gap probably on Monday with this top resistance or potentially with this rally or breakaway day here. We then have a gap up higher in trend mode. We then have a consolidation in carryover mode. And we have the crush pattern in trend mode on the first. Now, the crush pattern, when we take a look at it over here on the first, is this pattern right here. This is the big crush pattern that could play a fairly dangerous role leading into the top resistance pattern on the 4th, the day before the election, which I've drawn as a fairly large range bar here, just because I wanted to highlight where we could come down to. You can see that I highlighted these areas here. So we really have this area, which is right there, as a primary support level. And then we have this area down here, this area here, and then finally this area down here, and then this area down here. So that's 575, 582 and a half, 585 even, 589 almost even, and 592 almost even. Personally, I believe it's going to stay in this area, this 592 to roughly 585 area. But this is to highlight that we could be anywhere in this range. We could be selling down to 592, selling down to 589, selling down to 585. This could be a fairly deep bar, guys, the day before the election, depending on what comes in. Personally, I kind of think this 589 area, 590 area is going to be key. So, where we're at with this week, if you look, ignore these up here. These were my original drawings. Now we're focusing on these lower ranges. Yeah, we're below my expectations. Yeah, price did not get up to where I thought, but the patterns are actually cycling fairly well. And remember, we had that move into a sell mode as of Friday, looking for a buy into early Monday morning, this morning. So the SPY is at 582.84, gapping down about $1.72 or about 0.3%. We're down in this area here, this lower support area. And more than likely, we're going to get some sort of a trending today. Remember, I'm still in bullish trending mode. So more than likely we'll get some kind of upward trending today, maybe up into the 589, 590 area. Maybe. We'll see how it plays out because this week's going to be fairly difficult in terms of trending. You can see that I have a rally phase today, a sell-off, moderate sell-off phase tomorrow on Tuesday, a buy trigger on late Tuesday or early Wednesday, moving into a sell trigger very late on. This would be Wednesday. Got to make sure. Yep, Wednesday. So don't want to hold things overnight on Wednesday. Looks like we're going to get a pretty solid gapping downward, meaning we're going to be looking for lows back down around 597, maybe. Well, in this case, possibly down in this area, 588. on Thursday, and then looking for a buy mode into Thursday and Friday. And then once we get up here, which is Monday right here, we are looking to get out. Okay. We are not looking to hold. I mean, Monday does have an upward trend. We want to try to get out of the move in Monday or near a high on Monday. And we look to try to get out. Now, if I leave my original expectations in here in place, we're looking at a high around 600, 604. If I were to redraw these down here in this area, I would say that we would be looking maybe kind of up in this area before we roll down, possibly, and then roll. So that means that we'd be looking for a high kind of in the 598 area. So again, this week is going to be pretty rough. This week is going to be, I see it as an up day today based on the patterns, a down day tomorrow, Tuesday, an up day on Wednesday, a consolidation day on Thursday, looking for lows, and then a rally into Friday and then into Monday of the following week. That would be on October 28th. We do not want to be overly aggressive when we get into Monday. We're probably not going to have much upside left. It's going to roll a bit. And then by the end of the day, Wednesday, we should be moving into fairly solid downward trending here. So this gives you the ability to understand that you've got, maybe about a 2.5 to 3.5% rally potential this week, maybe. Okay. And then by the time you get into this October 28th, 29th, 30th, you need to be moving directly towards protecting your investments, your long trades, possibly hedging very aggressively up in this area, possibly with some put options, maybe 10, 15 days out in the future, in case there is some sort of a deeper contraction here. And then, of course, right around the election day or the election day, you want to look for a buy opportunity to try to buy into these deep lows down here. And that could be, again, in this area, 585, 582, 576. I mean, I expect a very deep low here. And then I expect quiet on the election day. Now, remember, we're going to have a election day is flat down. Okay. Then we move into breakaway and then rally and then a counter trend rally. So that's really leading us to a flat down day here, kind of is a neutral kind of a consolidation. Then we move into a rally phase. And then we move into a counter trend rally phase out over here. Make sure I get it right. Wednesday, Thursday. And a counter trend rally phase would be a downward sloping bar indicating some sort of a pullback, some sort of a correction. Okay, so that gives you a pretty good idea of what's going on today. Like I said, if I were to estimate what I think is going to happen today, I really do believe that we're going to see kind of a moderate melt up, maybe up into this 588, 587, maybe 589 area, moderate melt up trending. Then tomorrow we have a pullback day. So, I mean, really, if I were to draw this and get rid of this, I'll leave that. Oops. Kind of think we're looking at an opening down in this area, moderate rally phase up into 588, maybe 590. Then we're going to look at a pullback. Then we're going to get another little moderate rally phase. Then we could have a fairly sharp pullback. And then we could rally up into the 596, 598 area, trying to form a top. So that gives you an idea of, let's mark that a little different color. Gives you an idea of what I think may be a fairly solid opportunity for traders. You have a fairly solid opportunity today, pull back, fairly solid opportunity on Wednesday, pull back, then a rally into Friday, Monday, maybe Tuesday, and then you've reached the top. And I think that's it. And then we're going to be looking to hedge into the selling close to the election and then looking for some sort of a buy opportunity here. So understand, I think after the election, things are going to settle. Hopefully, there won't be too much chaos, but we're getting into some very difficult trading. So now understand, guys, that it's going to be a real test for the patterns here. I've been doing this for now maybe 5.5 months, I think since May or June. So long and short of it is, we're really, day after day, week after week, I've been putting my predictions out into the future to live or die from. It's not easy. I'll tell you this. It's not look at it this way. Either my reputation's gonna be okay with you guys that follow me and you're gonna like what I do, or you're gonna pick it apart. Because if I'm wrong, and you'll know it. I would be wrong so often that you guys would just be laughing and saying, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I like to think that I'm not that way, that I'm very accurate in what I do. And I think that there's nobody on the planet that can do what I do. With the research and the tools that I have, I don't believe there's anybody on the planet that can map out 3 weeks in advance what they believe price is going to do based on proprietary data like this. There's absolutely no one on the planet that has this that I'm aware of. Okay, so now we come back over here and we're going to live or die by this, or I am. Remember, this is good. This is really going to be a tough week. So even though we're not up at these levels and not up at these levels like I originally expected, patterns are still playing out very well. And we've got a lot of rotation this week, up, down, up for 2, maybe 3 days, stalling, topping, and then rolling into a contraction by about the 30th or 31st. Okay, so we'll go to the QQQs, and the setup is going to be fairly much the same. You can see I've drawn a lot of this data. Let me redraw it for you. I appreciate your comments, guys. I really do. Where we're at with this. Let me see where we're at here. We have up today and down tomorrow, and then up. So we would be looking at and then a solid rally. And then a rally into topping. You go ahead and mark the 28th, 29th. Okay, make sure I got these guys right. There we go. There we go. And then we would be looking at some sort of a downturn here. Into the 30th and 31st. Potentially a deeper downward move here. And then we would be looking at some sort of a consolidation pattern back over here. So it kind of gives you an idea. On the NASDAQ, we are still looking for that rotation. We are still looking for that rolling. Oh, I got a lot of lines. Okay, so we are looking for a buy here mode. We're at 491. We're slightly lower down in this area. So we're kind of looking at a buy mode into this area, carrying maybe for a day or two, into some consolidation, into a buy peak, maybe up into 500, 504, and then rolling into a topping formation, potentially downward towards the election, and then bottoming and rallying potentially afterwards. So this gives you that rolling peak pattern, up in this area, kind of right up in that area. And I'll move this out, shrink this. And so this is kind of the area. I mean, could we get up to 513? Yeah, maybe. I'm not saying it's impossible. Are we going to get there? I doubt it. I think we're going to maybe be more in this 506, 505, 508 area. Maybe. Maybe more so into this 501 to 505 area. But, the patterns play out what the patterns do. And then I try to pick the range of where price is supposed to be. You can see rally, 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 all the way up to these patterns, consolidation, building a base, starting to rally back out of it. If my patterns are correct, we will see a rally out of this for the next 5, 6 days, trading days, up into this 25th through 28th, right in this area. And then we will roll into this consolidation prior to the election. And this is where you would be looking to hedge, really, right here. Sell hedge now. And we would then be looking for a buy hedge down here. And what I mean by a buy hedge now, that means that you would be looking to try to take advantage of a rotating price move to the upside. Okay, you would be protecting, move to cash. So let me re-edit this. Move to cash, sell hedge now, and then this would be start anchor longs and buy hedge down. When I call an anchor long, is a small position getting you started into a long trade. So this is pretty much playing out exactly as, I had suspected. We'll see this last little selling about 5, 6, 7 days before the election on the QQQ. Whereas on the SPY, I think it's going to be more, literally more of the last 2 to 4 days. Remember, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 4 or 5 days of selling right prior to the election. Whereas I think the NASDAQ will start selling a little bit early. And then let's go over here to gold, which is already rallying last I saw. The gold cycle patterns are here. We are looking at a top pattern today. A top pattern is very likely going to set up like this. Look at gold already up 20 bucks today. Great calls, great comments. Thank you guys. So a top pattern is going to set up kind of like this, rolling up, setting a top, and maybe rolling a little downward. So we're really looking at kind of a peaking pattern, almost like a rollover fractal kind of top. And that will carry over into silver as well. So silver will be setting up. This is again hourly. Another big move. Silver's up another dollar. Wow, 3%. Another big rally. Gotta love this. Silver Sunday, Monday. So the topping pattern, whoops. The topping pattern today for silver would likely set up something along the lines like this, rolling into some sort of a peak. So a topping pattern is nothing more than It rallies up, finds resistance, and rolls away from resistance. That's what a topping pattern is. Okay. It's not a major top, it's just a daily peak in price. That's all that we're looking at today. Now, when you come back over here and you look at the week, we have a flat down pattern on Tuesday, a breakaway pattern on Wednesday, a nothing pattern on Thursday, and then a bottom pattern on the 25th. And a bottom pattern is opposite of the top. A top pattern is a high peak like this, and a bottom pattern is a trough. That's really all you need to remember. So when you see tops and bottoms here, just remember this is a identification of resistance, and this is the identification of support. That's what this is telling us. Flat down means that it should go nowhere, drifting downward. And then a breakaway pattern tells us we could get a pretty good move, a moderate to pretty good move in a trending direction. We will see where we're at when we get there, but obviously we're bullish right now. Then we go into this, look at this weekend, Sunday, base rally, and then momentum rally on Monday, and then a nothing bar, probably a carryover of the rally, then a top trying to find resistance, a gap potential, potentially moving off of fear, and then we have a gap stall revert flush on the first. Now, this is a variant type of pattern in the sense that it can be any or all of these things on the same day. Now, a reversion flush would indicate that we're moving downward. A gap stall would mean that we could gap downward and stall out. So we'll see how this plays out, but this is really, potentially some news. And now, granted, it's 3 days, 5 days before the election, so who knows what the news would be. But this would give me concern for metals that there's some sort of a news event playing out. Okay. And then lastly, kind of before I got off of these, I wanted to show you here. Um, this is a custom crash index I created. You can see this is monthly going all the way back. And most crash events took place after the markets peaked. This is the SPY. You can see how we peaked and rolled. We peaked and rolled here. This was the Fed raising interest rates. These were previous crash indicators. What I'm marking here are the tops in the crash indicator before some sort of a selling phase took place. You can see how I marked them here. Generally, all crash events took place while the Fed was raising rates. Most of almost all crash events prompted a dollar rally. You can see here dollar rally, dollar rally, dollar rally. And this is because the Fed lowered rates after the crash event. Okay, so in other words, you have high interest rates, markets crash, Fed lowers rates, dollar rises on the lower rate indicator. Now we've had very little crashing taking place with the dollar above 101. I wanted to highlight the fact that other than back over here, which was a slow and steady rising of the interest rates, prompted a bit of a downward trend. We have, if you go back, almost 19 years, 17 years, you have almost no crash events with the dollar up in this 103, 104 area. So the likelihood of a crash right now is probably pretty tiny, really, probably pretty tiny. And I just want to point that out. Now, a pullback, totally different scenario. We can get pullbacks. Pullbacks to me are anywhere from 3.5 to say 6.5, 7%. A crashing event is something that takes place and we get more than say 11 or 12% of a big pullback. That would be a moderate crashing event. A real crash is going to be something greater than say 15% to the downside. And that would be a crash, in my opinion. So these little things are just pullbacks. That's all we're looking at. 3 to 5% is just a pullback. Okay, and then I think we need to go over here to Bitcoin before I run out of time. Bitcoin has come up, and let's come back over here. Try to drag this into shape. So here's our basing bottoming. are flagging, are rallying up to consolidation. We have come back up, it looks like, and try to set our ultimate peak. Looks like we tried to set it twice. So we have here 68.9. So we got just above that level, up above 69,400. I would be fairly concerned here that we have reached our level. Let me come out here and take a look at a daily, even though I'll probably have a lot of crud on my chart. All right, go away. Broken out, ran right up to resistance. Heading into the election, I think metals and Bitcoin could probably do pretty well, but oops. I really think that we're looking at we've reached the end. We've reached that peak on the excess phase peak pattern. And here we have a bigger, broader move. So here's our phasing, here's our move. We need to find that consolidation phase at this point, guys. And this could be it. We could be moving into this consolidation phase here. You can see the flag, you can see we come down, we break out. We should be moving into the 3 pattern, which would be a move up into consolidation before we attempt to move higher or lower. So given where we're at, I would be expecting consolidation. I would be expecting possibly many weeks of consolidation, which could entail a broader pullback, a lot of volatility potentially. We could be seeing a lot of rotation over the next, hypothetically, through the end of the year if this excess phase peak pattern plays out efficiently. But remember, we've had the low, we've come back up. And we could argue this being the low, this being flagging, this being the breakout, this being consolidation, and this being the ultimate high. But I'm going to stick with this analysis here and tell us that even if it is the ultimate high or the phase 3, which I'm marking here, and remember that other low pattern, you can see how I marked them. There's actually quite a few patterns here. But if we looked at this as the ultimate low way down here, then, we have the ultimate low pattern coming into here, coming into flagging, and I'll make this dark red and a dark red. And then that would put us up into here for consolidation, indicating price rolled through consolidation here and now has rallied up to potentially the ultimate high. That still argues that we would then move into a flagging formation here, potentially, and then breaking potentially downward. Okay, so we're looking at consolidation in Bitcoin is what I see. I don't see any real way around it. We're looking at consolidation, and I think that's going to be the play until we break to a new trend. So, really, guys, that's the best offer I have for you. Consolidation, ultimate peak likely set up, reaching this double topping formation here. Failure to get above this high, this yellow level here, would mean that we are going to roll back downward and try to establish new lows. So pay attention. Price must always establish a new higher high or lower low. If it fails to establish a new higher high up here, then it is going to roll down and try to establish a new lower low. Okay, I'm going back to my coffee. Let's see what the markets do. And thank you guys. Talk to you soon.